Let's talk about how to change your mindset. Part 2. In the last video, I talked about the 4 things that you must have in place if you want to see any progress in your personal development. In this video, I want to talk about where to start. What are the things that you can start doing right now to change the way you think, change the way you feel, and ultimately change what you're able to do or create in your life as a result? I'm Tara Wagner, breakthrough coach and lifelong entrepreneur. I help other entrepreneurs use a holistic approach to business so they can create profits they can depend on without burning themselves out. If that sounds like your jam, be sure to check out my free training on how you can do the same. When it comes to knowing how to change your mindset, we actually need to back up a little bit. Before you start taking action, I want you to do what's called beginning with the end in mind. This is actually one of the highly effective habits listed by Stephen Covey in the amazing book, 7 Highly Effective Habits of Successful People. Highly recommend that you read. And it's this concept of knowing where you want to end up before you even get started. Kind of sounds obvious once you understand it, but it's so common that we just start throwing solutions at something. We're throwing noodles on the wall to see what sticks. We're throwing money at a problem to see what might fix it before we actually stop and say, wait a second, where do I want to end up? What is my actual goal here? So when it comes to your mindset, I want you to think about this. What's your actual goal? Why do you want to change your mindset? Why do you want to develop yourself? What is it that you're trying to get to? Now, the more complete you can have this picture, the better. So I want you to think about your values, right? The things that at the end of your life, you're going to be able to say, this is what I stood for. This is what I lived for. And you can see that in the things that I do. I want you to look at your goals as well. What are the things that you would love to accomplish, to be able to say, I checked that off my bucket list, or I created that, or I did that. And then also, what are your needs? What are the things that your life, that your business, that your family need right now? And changing your mindset will allow you to meet those needs. Once you have a clear picture of that, draw a full picture, put it all together and say, this is what I'm aiming for. This is the life, the work, the business, the impact, the everything that I'm shooting for, that I'm developing myself into. Once you have that end goal clearly in place and doing whatever you can do to make sure that it's clear and it stays front and center in your focus on a regular basis, then you can move into number 2. Comment below and let me know, what are the goals or the values that are requiring you to develop your own mindset right now? Number 2 is to make a list. I want you to pull up Google or Amazon and I want you to figure out the top 12 best-selling books on the goal of your choice. Right? You're trying to develop your mindset for a goal, for a purpose, for a value, for something in your life. I want you to now be immersing yourself on a regular basis in that topic, in the mindset around that topic. So if we're talking about business, what are the best business mindset books that you can find? If you're talking about family, what are the best family mindset books that you can find? Now, you might not find something that is specific around mindset. It might be talking about tools and strategies, but I guarantee you, there's gonna be some mindset stuff in there. They're gonna have to correct some myths or show you a new way to look at things. And the more you immerse yourself in that, the more you're gonna be able to normalize it and be able to actually start practicing it. I want you to set a process goal here instead of an outcome goal, right? An outcome goal is, here's why I'm developing my mindset, here's what I wanna get to. A process goal says, here's how I'm gonna do it, and I'm just gonna focus on that part of it. You're not gonna focus on this, just gonna focus on this. So your process goal is, I'm gonna read or listen to at least one book every single month on this topic. And bonus points, I want you to actually make a list at the end of that month of your top 3 to 5 takeaways and one thing, maybe 2 things that you can do to implement one of those takeaways. This is taking something that you're learning, really synthesizing it into a solid takeaway, something where you're conscious of what you've just learned, and then putting that into an action step. because action is one of the key things to changing your mindset. You can think it, you can feel it, but if you don't put it into action, you will not solidify it. And then number 3, we touched on this in the last one, we gotta touch on it again. You need to surround yourself in people who are normalizing what it is that you're wanting to do, the mindset that you want to embody. So if you want financial freedom, you need to immerse yourself in conversations about people who are living a financially free life. This doesn't have to be smarmy, gross people that you don't like. Find the communities full of people who are living it in the way that you want to live it. Have conversations with them, ask them questions, listen to their conversations, find their podcasts, get into their Facebook groups, do whatever you can do to normalize the conversation around the goal, because your brain must see it as possible and okay, safe to do in order for your mindset to change around it. I do want to encourage you though to not try to get into too many communities at once, especially in different goals, different ways that you're trying to change your mindset. If you're trying to do a whole life makeover, if you're trying to just reset everything, that tends to not be sustainable. What you need to do is look at the areas in your mindset that need developing and decide which one comes first. Which is the one that if I knock that domino down, the other ones get easier to knock down, or maybe we'll knock down with it, right? That's the one you want to focus on first. So if you're looking at financial freedom, being a better parent, being better business owner, being a better spouse, and you're wanting to develop all of these different things, I want you to ask yourself, what's the one that's going to matter the most? What's the one that's going to make the biggest impact on all the others? And I want you to just give yourself the time to focus on that one for at least 6 to 12 months, right? We talked about in the last video, that 4th thing that you need. You got to make sure that you're consistent with it for the right amount of time to be able to see the results in it. But if you're trying to be consistent with too many things, you're actually taking your brain in too many different directions and it can't fully develop. It's gonna take 4 times as long if you're trying to develop 4 things, really probably way more than 4 times as long. So I want you to give yourself permission. I'm gonna focus on this thing because I know it's gonna make the biggest difference. And then the next thing, I'm probably not gonna have to focus on it for as long because this thing is solid and in place, which is gonna make everything else faster. So instead of 4 to 8 years of changing my entire life, I'm gonna spend 1 to 2 years to get it all really good because I'm gonna focus on one thing at a time until it's solid. Now, these are just the first 3 things that I would recommend that you do if you're a beginner to this idea of changing your mindset. But sometimes, especially as entrepreneurs, especially if we're facing big goals or big changes in our life, we need to step it up a few notches. We need to learn not just how to develop our mindset, but how to drill into it, how to find our limiting beliefs, how to be able to discover the things that are going to really hold us back or make us hit that glass ceiling. If this is you, I encourage you to learn more about my Healthy Hustle Roadmap. My free class, How to Use a Holistic Approach to Create a Profitable Business Without Burning Yourself Out, will show you the 3 mistakes small business owners are making and introduce you to the tools and the strategies that I teach that help you create a 6-figure business working less than 40 hours a week. If you're interested, you can find the link to that free class in the description below. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you found it helpful, encouraging, inspiring. Leave me a fist bump in the comments if you made it to the end, along with your biggest takeaway or maybe something you're gonna implement. And then be sure to check out these next videos on the topic of mindset as well. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.